Shoulder bridge. I include this one a lot in warm-ups for my dance classes, so it should be at least a little bit familiar to you if you've taken one of my dance classes. But we're gonna go into a little more detail, talk about some different ways to do it and some variations. So the position of a shoulder bridge, and remember it's called a shoulder bridge. You want your weight on your shoulders, not on your neck, so you're not rocking yourself all the way back to your neck. The position is this. Mine might be not an ideal position. I can't quite see in my phone well enough. You want a straight line from about your collarbone straight out. You want your bones making a straight line there. I tend to have really tight hips, so it's really hard for me to get into that straight line position. I'm often like, this isn't exaggerated, but I'm often back a little, like my hips are a little low. So some things to think about. The cue I give most often at the top of a shoulder bridge is not to let your knees fall out to the outside, but to keep them going straight over your toes, real parallel. One way to do that would be to put a ball or a yoga block in between your knees and squeeze tight, to squeeze that inner line to hold the ball still. And we have some balls at school if you need to borrow one at home. So two ways to get up into the shoulder bridge are what I've been showing so far, where you just lift your whole spine up and then bring your whole spine down. Or you can do an articulated lift. I'm gonna tighten my shirt so you can hopefully see my spine a little better. So I'm starting in a neutral position. My first step is to imprint my spine, and then I'm gonna imagine my spine like a string of pearls, and I'm lifting up one pearl at a time from the bottom. So it's just my sacrum that comes up first. Then I'm working through my lower spine, my lumbar region, one vertebrae at a time. Then my mid-spine, my thoracic, one vertebrae at a time, until I get to the top of the thoracic. But I don't start getting into the cervical. And then to reverse that, you might, when you're first starting, actually hold your own hips up, because we really have a tendency to drop our hips first. And soften your sternum, lower the sternum first, keep your hips up, keep your hips up, keep your hips up. Lower the middle spine, keep your hips up, keep your hips up, keep your hips up. Lower one vertebrae at a time, really feel them coming down onto the mat, one vertebrae at a time. And then exhale as you release back to neutral. So those are two ways to go up into that shoulder bridge position. That's just the position. The actual exercise, which we're not gonna do just yet, you come up into a bridge, you keep your hips even, one leg goes to tabletop, then extends, lowers to be parallel with the other leg, and lift. Oh, it should be flex the foot, point the foot, flex the foot, point the foot, then put it down. Other side. Flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, bend, put it down. So that's the full shoulder bridge exercise. I don't want you to start with the shoulder bridge exercise. I want you to start with just the shoulder bridge position. And when that gets easier, and as we move ahead in more Pilates exercises, you can go back to the shoulder bridge exercise, review this video again. The exercise is so challenging because you only have one foot on the floor, but you have to keep your hips even, both in terms of like not one hip hiking more than the other or one hip dropping more than the other. That alone is a huge oblique challenge. Like you can hear me actually out of breath just from doing one round on each side. And then as you're moving the leg, that increases the challenge of stability on the core. So you've increased the challenge twofold by removing one leg, so you have your base is not as wide, and your base is uneven. Your base is on one side, so you have to work even harder on the opposite side. And then you start moving a lever around, which makes it really, really hard. So it's a great exercise, but start by just really building a strong shoulder bridge position before you go into the shoulder bridge exercise.